Hello, I'm Ibrahim Raza, and for my final capstone project for my professional communications degree, I wanted to research crisis communication strategies and how they interact with the social media era. This was done by conducting a survey of over 100 participants regarding their reactions to crisis response strategies in two different real-world case studies. Crisis communications are a constant element of day-to-day communication practices in a professional setting. At any moment, an organization can find itself dealing with a crisis situation, and the strategies that it uses to communicate through that crisis and preserve the reputation of the company are a critical element of professional management. Incorporating social media into this has become more and more essential over the last decade, and it has completely changed the dynamics between stakeholders in a crisis situation. In looking at strategies to discuss during my research project, it quickly became clear that I would have to incorporate Timothy Coombs' theories on situational crisis communication, given their prevalence in the modern day literature of the field. Situational crisis communication theory, explained simply, involves analyzing the reasons for a crisis, who is responsible, and how did the existing relationships between stakeholders play into the crisis. Which all of this then gives organizations a guideline on how big a threat the crisis represents to their reputation and offers them a framework on response strategies. It was the last two elements in particular of this theory that played into my research, as I selected two cases that held similar threats to the reputations of their respective organizations, and yet each organization in these cases used differing response strategies to address that situation. The two cases I used as part of my research were H&M's Coolest Monkey in the Jungle controversy and the United Airlines David Dow case, both of which were cases that were at least partially a result of the actions of their respective companies, while both posed a major threat to the company's reputation. Additionally, it was important to me in selecting these cases that they had both occurred relatively recently and had gained a fair amount of traction on social media. In the survey I used with my participants, a sample of questions can be seen here. The survey was aimed to collect primarily quantitative data in the form of the percentage of respondents who felt a certain way about the crisis communication strategies of the companies involved. There was also space at the end of the survey for respondents to provide qualitative data in the form of an open response question, which would ideally allow them to provide extra information or extra opinions in the situation that may not have been covered by the questions in the survey. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my talk. I look forward to discussing my project more as I begin finalizing my summary and final webpage.